Welcome to Tracks from When Music Didn't Suck. My name's Erik Youngs. You might know me as the VooDoo Chef, and I'm here with my good pal, Kimo Gray. He and I go all the way back to 1986. Life brought our paths together, and we've been hanging ever since. Kimo, what's going on, friend?
Hey, dude, ready to talk about some great rock and roll.
Dude, it seems like just yesterday we were hanging out, whether it was at Scotty's house or your house, wherever we were playing and jamming. And, man, time just flies. And here we are looking back, almost 50 years ago now, talking about music. And as always, we're going to be talking about great music from way back then. Tonight, we're going to be looking at Kiss Alive 2, released in 1977 when music didn't suck. But before we do, we're going to take some questions from our mailbag. We have Voodies out there who follow the podcasts, and they send in questions all the time. And we've got a couple tonight. Our first question, Kimo, from Caesar in Atlanta. He wants to know what inspired us to play guitar. I'm going to let you tackle it first.
Well, I started playing bass a little bit before I started playing guitar. And for me, it was simple. I was just wanted something a little more challenging, maybe 2 more strings in there. And that was it. So I went down and laid away a guitar, and once I picked that thing up and started playing, I kind of put the bass down, and that was it.
But, Kimo, you got to let everybody know you were playing bass. Tell them about that, because your inspiration to get into music is a little more than I was playing bass and I switched to guitar.
Okay, so the first stringed instrument I ever learned was bass, because my mom was in a Hawaiian band, and the band leader was like, hey, if I buy a bass, will you learn it? And then you can come out and gig with us. And I was like, yeah, why not? I was 14. And so I learned how to play the bass. And then I was gigging at age 14, playing bass in a Hawaiian band. So that's where it started, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And that's a beautiful story, gigging at 14 and then switching to guitar just to have a little more challenge. And people may not know what an amazing bass player you are. And that's why I wanted to throw that out there, dude.
No, amazing. I don't know about amazing, but yeah, I'm a bass player. We'll just leave it at that.
Oh, come on, man. And the fact that it's family kind of hits home with me too. My brother was playing guitar and his buddies were all playing guitar. And that's kind of, what eventually pushed me to want to get into that. But, to be honest, in 1976, I was introduced to the band we're talking about tonight. And when I saw these guys and heard these guys and, listening to Alive and Alive 2 and the charisma that Paul Stanley brought to the stage, I wanted nothing more than to be a rock star. Nothing more. And so somewhere, some shape, some form, I got a guitar and started playing. So I guess a little bit of music influence, a little bit of probably a lot of family drive, wanting to be like my older brother. That's what got it started. And that's why I love our ties, both kind of family driven.
Yes.
Very cool, man. And you still have to thank Mom for letting me come out and jam my very first gig with you guys out at the Dolphin on Clearwater Beach.
Oh my goodness. That was great. That was great.
Right? I mean, that's a long time ago.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's keep this thing rolling. Question 2 comes to us from the social media pages. Do you prefer a hardtail or a tremolo? Now, I was joking with you earlier You got a tremolo in that picture right there on the screen there. But what do you prefer and why?
Well, now a hardtail, going hardtail all the way, not doing a lot of tremolo work like I did back when we were playing, but it just really depends on, the style of music you're playing. And what I've seen now, what the tremolo is used for, it's more for like vibrato, and I'm kind of more old school. If I'm going to do vibrato, I'm going to bend with my fingers. I don't need a tremolo to do that. So it's just kind of something that gets in the way for me now. But back in the day with those photos were there, yeah. I mean, if you're doing metal and you want the dives and you want the bends, and nothing beats a tremolo. And if I'm playing that style of music, I'm going to dump the hardtail 100%. I'm going to get back on the tremolo guitar.
But if you're just doing, I was going to ask if it was more age or style of music, but you answered that. When you're doing the hardtails, are you still able to pull off some of that metal even though you don't have the tremolo?
Oh, 100%. Again, tremolo for me is something that is an effect. It's, lack of better terms, a gimmick. If you can play, you don't need the tremolo. But if you can't play and you have the tremolo, well, then my goodness, it's icing on the cake. It's magic.
Well, I can't play either very well. But if you're looking behind me, you can tell I choose hardtail. And that's because I like to do a lot of palm muting on the bridge. And I find with the tremolo, I kind of get a little heavy-handed, and my guitar is constantly coming in and out of tune. And that kind of sucks even more when it's out of intonation anyway, right?
Right, yes. Well, that can happen, when guitars aren't set up. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I get heavy-handed, and I find myself just pushing that tremolo down. And so I'm getting vibrato out of my chud, and that just doesn't line up. It's like I got a phaser on or something.
Or it's like the old cassette tape, and it's slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, speeding up.
Batteries are running out.
Yeah.
You young kids don't know anything about that.
Energizer.
Oh, hey, if you guys want to ask a question, email us at VooDooChef13 with tracks from when music didn't suck in the subject line. One of the VooDoo team members will get back with you, and they'll send the questions directly to us, and maybe we'll answer them right live on air. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to deep dive into Kiss's album, Alive 2, that came out in 1977, when music didn't suck.
Secret in the kitchen. Dancing sharp, VooDoo Chef, got the potion, feel the heat in every bite. You will worship with devotion, flavor takes you to new heights.
So hey, I'm Casey Grello. I play drums with Queensryche, and I love VooDoo Chef. It's amazing stuff. My wife and I cook with it all the time. Thank you, VooDoo Chef.
Hey, this is Andrew from the Boozy Pig, and when we play with our meat, it's always with the VooDoo Chef.
Right.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Miss Ruby Red Monroe, all the way from San Francisco, California. Don't forget, you should check out some VooDoo Chef dirt. See, I can be a spokes model. VooDoo Chef's dirt is an amazing product. I use it all the time in my kitchen, but also the fun fact about this product is that a portion of the proceeds go to culinary scholarships, which is really amazing. So if you can, go out, check us out online, VooDoo Chef. Find it at a store near you. Mwah. See you soon. Bye.
Hey guys, I just wanted to tap in real quick and talk to you about the VooDoo Foundation and what it's done for me. My junior year, I started with the foundation in my first competition where I created a quesadilla taco with my partner. It was absolutely amazing. Through that competition, I got to meet a lot of new judges, new people, and open my eyes about what I wanted to do in this industry. My second competition was in my senior year where I once again created another dish, talked to some more people, and learned some new things. Right now, I'm working with the foundation and furthering my skills, and it's really helping me improve. So I'll check in with you guys later. If you want to learn more or help donate so you can get other people to start doing what I'm doing, go ahead and click this QR code right here, and it'll give you all the information you need.
A secret in the kitchen, spices dancing sharp, VooDoo Chef, got the potion, feel the heat in
lovers know how critical temperature variations are to aging whiskey. Blue Note Bourbon is crafted in Memphis, Tennessee, where it is aged in their warehouses located just east of the Mississippi River. And based on its fruity vanilla flavor with smooth oak finish, the unique microclimate of the region with high humidity and steady temperature adds up to create the perfect place for aging. Head down to the Crossroads and jump into a juke joint and enjoy every bluesy note of the official bourbon of the VooDoo Chef, Blue Note Bourbon. Welcome back. Tonight we're talking about Kiss's album, Alive 2, from 1977, when music didn't suck. Kimo, tell me about your first introduction to Kiss Alive 2.
Well, started back in elementary school, and I don't know how this bus driver got away with it, but every morning I get on the bus, and this bus driver was jamming Kiss Alive 2 on an 8-track tape all the way to school. I'm listening to these tunes, loving them. Then one day, this is back when I used to live in Nokomis, I go up to Sarasota Square Mall, walk into the album shop, and there's the Kiss Alive 2 with the jacket opened up. And when I saw the flames, I saw the drum on risers, I was like, this is what I've been listening to. Mom, I got to get this. I got to get this. First rock album I've ever bought. And I knew at that point, I was like, I know I'm a rocker. This is it right here, 100%.
Dude, awesome story. And how can you not be just mesmerized by that gatefold that we'll be talking about in a little bit? I got to tell you, I got introduced to Kiss a little different way. My buddy Doug Hardy, who you know, I
Douglas.
was over at his house. He had just moved down from North Carolina, and he's got these albums out on his floor in his room. At 6 years old, he's got Destroyer. He's got Love Gun. And I'm like, dude, what is this? And so I get introduced to Kiss, and then I head down to the music store, much like you, and I looked at the back jacket, and I'm like, holy cow, I need this in my life. I knew I had already liked the music from listening to it at Doug's house. And do we really like music at that point in our career, at that point in our life? Or are we just like, my buddy likes it, I like it, and who knows why he liked it, but it hit and it stuck. And then I found out my older brother's friend liked it, and now I'm all in. So then I see the back jacket. Dude, done deal. Just absolutely amazing. And we've been talking about the jacket. So let's jump right in and talk about scoring this album art. But before we do, let's take a quick look at how we're going to score this album overall. We're going to score these things on a few different criteria. First thing, we're going to look at the album art. We're going to look at the outside art, the inside art, the liner notes, the whole package, and we're going to score that. Second thing we're looking for is quality of songs. Is it all killer? How much filler? We'll see. What were the hits? How many releases? How many hit the charts? We'll talk about that. And finally, something very important to me, the track order. There has to be a sensible order to the tracks. Finally, playability. Would you listen to this album again? We'd love to see what you score. Drop your scores in the comments and play along with us. How are we scoring? Real simple. We're going to score each category on a scale from 1 to 6 strings. 1 string representing a hard pass. 2 strings? Meh. 3 strings? It's definitely worth the listen. 4 strings? I'd check it out again. 5 strings, a def go-to. 6, it's in my solid rotation. All right, you just got the rundown of how we're going to break these albums down and score it. So let's start with album art. When we're talking about album art, remember, we're talking about the outside, the inside, the liner notes, everything involved with the packaging of this music. So, Kimo, how do you score Kiss Alive 2? But more importantly, why do you score it the way you do?
Well, first of all, I scored it a 6, and it's a hard 6. And here's the reason. First of all, it's a live album. When you open up that jacket and I saw it there, you get the sense like you're at that concert. You want to be at that concert. I mean, that's the whole reason. So that's why I scored it that, because you're thinking, man, if I could just be on the other side of this out in the crowd, watching this, amps, loud, decibels, I'm in. I'm all in. And that's why I scored it a 6.
Kimo, I too scored it a hard 6, a very hard 6. Now, I've got a little visual here. I said I wasn't going to open it. I was going to leave it in the plastic, but this right here is what sold me. I hadn't even seen the gatefold yet. So when you look at the front, you get the little teaser down here, but then you see the back. It's got the song list and it's got the blown up imagery. If you're fortunate enough to buy this and get to go home and open it, I had never seen an album with a gatefold yet. You open this up and there it is. Just the full imagery that you see behind Kimo right there. Absolutely breathtaking. And from that moment on, I knew not only did I want to go see Kiss, I wanted to be Kiss because that is just incredible. Take that for what it's worth. Open it up, and then you get the Evolution of Kiss magazine, booklet, whatever you want to call it inside, full of photos, more pictures, more outtakes. You can see these on the pop-ups. I have an album that still has that inside of it. I always loved the merch piece that came in a Kiss album. A lot of people said it took away from the music, but let's be real. Who didn't want a Kiss t-shirt? I know I did. I know I wanted the radio. I wanted the race car. I wanted any piece of Kiss merch that you see behind me, from my stained glass to my Pez dispensers to my Zippo lighter from the Zippo factory back in the 80s. I wanted it all. And I wanted it all because I thought they were larger than life. And that's why these guys get a hard 6 on their album art. We both scored a hard 6. Let us know what you think. All right, we're moving on to quality of songs. Now, what we're looking for: how killer, how much filler, how many hits came off the album, and what do you think about the track order? Now, Kimo, I think I'm going to shock a lot of people, but I'm interested to hear your take because I value your opinion on things like this. Where are you at on quality of songs on Kiss Alive 2?
I gave this a 5, but it's just one tick over a 4. So if you want to call it a 4+, that's probably where I would go with this. And the only reason I say that is, yes, if you go from a musicality standpoint, you may look at it and go, yeah, it's not a super intricate album. No, it's not a Rush album. But again, how many Rush fans are Kiss fans? That's not what this is. What it is, though, is great writing, and it's already in their name, right? I know a lot of people, what does KISS stand for? Well, I'm going to tell you, keep it simple, silly, or some people may say stupid, whatever. That's exactly what they did. The chord structures, the harmonies, perfect. I mean, it's rock and roll. And something, I'll even dial back on the guitars. You notice they don't use the same distortion sound on every song. If you notice, some have a little bit more, some have a little bit less. It's just the little subtle things. Again, keeping it simple and keeping it just meat and potatoes, rock and roll in your face. And then the music with the live, because that's what this is, it's fantastic.
Now, Kimo, I couldn't agree with you more. I think they are amazing songwriters. And some people may say that they're writing bubblegum music and writing to a hit factory. Well, that tells me that they're great song writers, because isn't that what everybody strives to do? Get a hit. If you're asking me where I score this on quality of songs, unfortunately, as big a Kiss fan I am, this is the be all end all for me. I scored it a 4. And, if I would have been scoring this when I first heard it, it would have been a hard 6 across the board. But as we grow and we learn more and we look back, I think some of the overdubbing bothers me, and maybe not so much because it's overdubbed, but because of the turmoil in the band. You've got Bob Kulick doing some of the overdubs, not even in the band. You've got Ace Frehley didn't even show up for side 4, which is the studio album, on the back. Well, he showed up for his songs, right?
Of course.
But it's not a full Alive album like Alive 2. And I understand why they had to keep it from the 3 albums that came out after Alive so that we had no duplicates. We needed a brand new album. But if you go look at the song track list, the real set list from that tour, they open with I Stole Your Love, which is my favorite song on this album, but because of the popularity of Detroit Rock City, it's number one. And I'm going to tell you, that's my second least favorite song on the album, only to be overdone by God of Thunder. I've never been a God of Thunder fan at all. And so when you start bouncing those tracks around, and if you watch the Lost Kiss Alive 2 video, to me, that takes so much more precedent over this album, and it made me go backwards and score the track list at a 4.
I'm with you on that. I hear you, but here's the other thing I will say. And it's funny you say I Stole Your Love. I was about to tell you that's my second favorite tune on the album. It wasn't back then, but as I re-listened, I was like, man, I just love the little basic harmonies again. Really just good guitar work, rocking. It's open, and I like how they open it up on side 2. That's great, just like Detroit Rock City. But here's what I will say. I get that there's some overdubs that are in there, but the overdubs are believable. There, you can still hear each of their individualized voices. They didn't come in there and mutt-lang this thing, and so it sounds like a Def Leppard album. I like that it's still very believable. And you know what? If they didn't use auto-tune back then, thank God.
Right.
And you can tell, and that's good. That tells me, hey, they're real humans. It's not a robot or a computer, a logarithm that's doing this. So yeah, that's why I gave it a 5.
And they didn't go back and put the keyboards on Christine 16. Give them credit. They did so many things right, and it's such a great, great album. Like I said, mine is one of those, as you grow, you learn, and you look back, and you just change your perception. It does not change anything about this album and how I hold it towards me, because this is one of those turning point albums in my life.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
All right, let's jump right into playability, Kimo. Real simple. Would I listen to it again? I'm very curious. Where does Kiss Alive 2 fall into your catalog, your library? How often does it come back around when you're listening to music?
Well, I scored this a 6, and here's why. When you look at Kiss Alive 2, it's like a best of album. That's the way I look at it. And I like best of albums because you got all the hits and you get a couple little B-sides that are in there. I mean, let's just go off the 2 flares that I want to talk about here, that as I was listening, I go, you know what I love about Kiss? They're not afraid to venture. Hard Luck Woman, yeah, it sounds a little Rod Stewartish, but they didn't care, but they still rocked it out, right? And then...
a fun fact, Kimo, Paul Stanley wrote Hard Luck Woman with the hopes of giving it to Rod Stewart.
Oh, my goodness. I did not know that.
Now you know why it sounds so Rod Stewart-esque, but such an amazing Kiss song. And
yes,
to get on stage and pull this off, in my opinion, pretty ballsy when you're a heavy metal act. I scored this album for playability a very, very hard 6 for your same exact reason. It is a best of those second 3 sets of albums. Destroyer, Love Gun, and Rock and Roll Over. It's a best of those 3. And you talk about venturing out. One of the closers, Tomorrow and Tonight, where they tried to replicate and create another Rock and Roll All Night. It's a simple 1-4-5. It's very relatable. That, Shout It Out Loud, another one of my favorite Kiss songs ever. It's just an amazing album. And I was talking earlier about the studio tracks. I love the studio tracks. All American Man, just an amazing song. So fun to play on guitar. And such a statement by Paul Stanley. So for me, playability, a very, very, very hard 6. And I can't get enough of this. This is in my general rotation. All right, let's add them all up. Let's see where we're at. And let's get these scores totaled out, Kimo. Welcome back to Tracks from When Music Didn't Suck. This week, we took a look at Kiss's album Alive 2 from 1977. Kimo and I scored the album on album art, quality of songs, and playability. Let's do a quick review of our scores. On album art, we both scored this album a hard 6. On quality of songs, I gave it a 4, and Kimo gave it a 5. Actually a 4+, but remember, we're playing by Spinal Tap rules, so it does round up. On playability, we both scored it a 6 for a total score of 33. So for Kiss Alive 2, from Tracks from a Music Didn't Suck, they get a score of 33 overall. Kimo, final thoughts on Kiss and Kiss Alive 2.
It's one of Big Kiss's best of album. Gonna go with that. And I'm gonna throw one little wrench into the works there. Let's not forget about one of the greatest ballads. Beth, I hear you calling. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, hands down, great album. Definitely changed my life for sure as a young little boy seeing that open cover and going, yes, I want to rock someday.
You know, you talk about being a young little boy, but in our own minds, we were legends and we were rock stars, and it was life-changing. And Kiss Alive 2 just played a very pivotal point in my music, my life, and where I see myself. 33, probably too low a score for the amount of impact it had, but we're rating it for what it is, and that's where Kimo and I see it. We'd love to see your thoughts. Send them to us. Put them in the chat bars. Don't forget, ring the bell, subscribe, let everybody know where you're hanging out. But don't go away, because we can't walk away without touching on today's music. On this show, we focus on tracks from when music didn't suck, but there are so many bands creating new music today and every day. This week, I sent Kimo some tracks from one of my favorite new artists, a band called Wicked. I am very fortunate to actually know these guys and have worked with these guys and played with these guys. Just a great group of guys. A couple albums out, American Rock and Roller, Sunburn, and a brand new album to be released very, very soon. Kimo, you've met these guys. You've heard the music. What are your thoughts on Wicked?
Well, first of all, when we're talking about musicality, definitely these guys know how to rock, and it's not just pop music by any means. Second of all, you can see their heart in their music, and when you meet them, it's the same. You know, you feel like you've known these guys for years, even if you're just meeting them for the first time. And when you listen to their music, it's the exact same thing. That 80s throwback rock in your face, great harmonies, leads shred off your face. Wonderful guys. And the drummer, I mean, he beats those drums to a pulp. Awesome.
He destroys those drums.
Yes, literally, as Rob Lowe would say, literally.
Gunnar, a great drummer, but all the guys, Danny and Chad, they're the bassist and guitar player. They started this band with Scotty V on guitar. And we already mentioned Gunnar just destroyed my entire drum kit. I fell in love with them because I could hear the Kiss influence in their music. But as I got to know the band and meet the band and talk with the band and develop a relationship, they're not only influenced by Kiss, they're influenced by the bands that influenced Kiss. And we talk about all kinds of different bands like Stars and going way back to Slade and all these other different musical pieces that influenced Kiss and pushed it forward through bands of today. And you could hear every little piece of that in their music. Some might call it bubblegum. I call it 1980s. It's amazing music. Make sure and check them out at Wicked Rock and Roll on all social media platforms. Make sure you hit the bells, ring the bells, do the ding-lings, whatever they call that thing. Show them your love. If you want to learn more about them, you can check them out on the VooDoo Chef podcast. You can find all our VODs on rhstv.com. Check them out on our other podcast, VooDoo Chef Live, Me's Fire Voodoo Cook. They cooked live with me, and we had a blast doing it. You could see that on our VOD channel as well. Most importantly, Kimo, I got nothing but love for you, my friend, for many, many years now, and I'm glad we're doing this today. And everybody out there, make sure you come back next time when we break down Cinderella's 1986 release, Night Songs, which came out when music didn't suck.
We're gonna rock and roll all night and party every day. You say the thing you stop.